It's midnight and you're tuning into Nightline with me, Nurin Razmyn. The top stories. All 15 UPSI students in Monday morning bus crash safely laid to rest. And government moves to tighten rules on heavy vehicles after UPSI bus tragedy. Good morning. The government is drafting a policy that includes the mandatory use of speed limiters for heavy vehicles as part of its efforts to improve road safety. Transport Minister Anthony Loke-Siu-Fok said the policy is being thoroughly reviewed to ensure there are no loopholes or opportunities for manipulation once implemented.
Cabaran yang kita hadapi ialah kebanyakan ini di-tempered. Okay. Walaupun ada speed limiter, mereka tempered. Mereka ubah untuk lulus pemeriksaan di Puspakom, mereka pasang. Selepas itu mereka tempered. Jadi perkara-perkara seperti ini kita sedang lihat bagaimana cara untuk menutup leakages macam ini.
Although speed limiters are already required by law, enforcement has been hindered by widespread manipulation. The minister further reaffirmed the government's commitment to protecting road users from irresponsible drivers and unsafe vehicles. The latest development comes in the wake of a tragic accident on Monday morning that claimed the lives of 15 students from University Pendidikan Sultan Idris or UPSI when their chartered bus overturned after colliding with an MPV on the east-west highway near Tasik Banding in Greek. The tragic accident has reignited public pressure for tighter regulations on heavy vehicles, including buses and lorries, especially those that do not meet safety standards. Meanwhile, the safety of the east-west highway connecting Perak and Kelantan will be brought to the Cabinet's attention at its meeting on Wednesday. The Transport Ministry acknowledges the urgent need for improvements along the critical route, which serves as a main gateway to the East Coast.
Yang pertamanya bukan saja penghadang jalan, dari segi keadaan jalan dan juga dari segi kekurangan lampu jalan pada waktu malam. Ini perkara yang Kementerian Pengangkutan telah pun mengambil inisiatif. Kita telah katakan bahawa kita akan cuba membantu untuk memasang lampu-lampu solar.
He said the stretch from Greek to Jeli is classified as a federal road and is under the jurisdiction of the Public Works Department, which falls under the Works Ministry. However, due to its implications on road safety, the matter is being taken up by the Transport Ministry as part of its wider responsibility to ensure public safety on the roads. Now, investigations into the tragic bus crash in Greek continued under the special task force formed to carry out the probe. Checks by our news crew found that severely damaged bus outside the Greek District Police Headquarters, where forensic teams were carrying out detailed inspections. Investigators were seen examining various parts of the bus, including removing the front wheels, believed to be part of efforts to inspect the braking system. Personal belongings of several victims were also spotted inside the bus. The ongoing investigation involves multiple agencies, including the police, the Road Transport Department, and other technical units. Police will apply for a remand order against the bus driver involved in the fatal crash in Greek once he is discharged from hospital. Perak Police Chief Datuk Nur Hisham Nordin said the 42-year-old driver is currently receiving treatment in Taiping Hospital.
Sekarang ni dia masih di hospital Taiping, kita biarlah dia berubat dulu apa semua. So untuk blood sampel dia memang kita ambil semalam lagi dekat hospital Greek. Kita ambil blood dah, kita daripada darah tu boleh extract apa orang panggil tu substance dalam darah pun kita tengok substance kalau ada substance dadah apa.
Bukit Aman's Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department, meanwhile, confirmed that the driver has a prior record of 18 traffic summonses, including 13 for speeding, 3 for driving without a seatbelt, and 1 for not having a third brake light. Meanwhile, the operator of the tour bus involved in the incident has maintained that the deadly crash in Greek was the result of a brake failure. Speaking to reporters, a representative from Syarikat Kenari Utara denied allegations that the driver was speeding at the time of the incident. Met at the company's office in Tunjung Kota Baru, the company's assistant manager, Muhammad Yusni Othman, said the bus was not being driven recklessly at the time of the crash.
Laju lah sebab brek tak makan kan, jadi laju lah. Bukan kerana kelajuan bas tu kerana tekan minyak apa, cuma brek tak ada, turun bukit. Jadi tu jadi macam lah.
Mana disyaki rosak.
Rosak brek lah.
This is the first major incident involving the company since it began operations. The company has extended its condolences to the victims and their families and says it is currently reviewing possible assistance and compensation measures. The tour bus involved in the accident is believed to have been in use for about 3 years. Earlier, the company's operation officer, Nazri Nawi, said the driver had informed them of the brake failure while receiving treatment at Taiping Hospital. At the Raja Permaisuri Bainun Hospital in Ipoh, a University Pendidikan Sultan Idris UPSI crash survivor reportedly said the driver of the chartered bus did not slow down despite repeated pleas from the students. The matter was revealed to Deputy Women, Family and Community Development Minister Datuk Seri Dr. Nurin Ahmad when she visited the student 23-year-old Lily Suzana Mat Yaakob on Tuesday.
Dia cuma cakap yang pasal kawan dia kejutkan dia tengah tidur waktu tu, kawan dia kejutkan dia mengatakan bahawa bas tu bawa laju, dia cakap pakcik tu bawa laju dan dia telah berapa kali macam bagi tahulah pakcik jangan bawa laju, dia cakap macam tu tapi terus bawa laju.
Another injured student, Nur Erika Elisha Muhammad Zaidi, is also receiving treatment at the hospital and was in a semi-conscious state after taking medication. Both students are stable but still require further treatment. Nuraini said the ministry has extended counseling and welfare support to the students and their families. So far, 15 of the 33 victims injured in the crash are still receiving treatment at 3 public hospitals, while the remaining 18 have been discharged. Now, all 15 UPSI students who were killed in the bus crash were safely laid to rest on Tuesday. In Terengganu, 22-year-old Nurul Fatiha Abu Setaman was the last to be buried at 10:30 a.m. Nurul Fatiha's remains arrived in Hulu Besut at 10:20 a.m., accompanied by about 100 people. A funeral prayer was held at her family home before her body was buried at the Kampung Gong Duek Muslim Cemetery. Not too far away, the atmosphere at the Kampung Gong Penaga Muslim Cemetery turned somber when the remains of Sufia Adila Maslihaizan, 21, arrived early on Tuesday. The Faculty of Human Sciences student was buried at 4:30 a.m. 21-year-old Muhammad Adib Hazim Halim was among the first victims to be buried. His remains were laid to rest at Kampung Pasir Badak at around 12:30 a.m. on Tuesday. Meanwhile, over 200 people came to pay their final respects to Nurul Izyanti Azahar. Nurul Izyanti was laid to rest next to her late father's grave at the Kampung Lubuk Kawah Muslim Cemetery. Earlier, over 3,000 congregants participated in funeral prayers held at Masjid Hadari in Besut for all 15 victims who lost their lives in the crash. The bodies were then brought by their next of kin to their respective hometowns for burials. In other news, another accident involving a bus took place in Pahang on Tuesday when 28 passengers, including 13 students from University Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah, escaped unhurt after a bus collided into the rear of a trailer on the East Coast Expressway. The accident occurred at 1 a.m. when the tour bus was traveling from Terminal Bersepadu Selatan in Kuala Lumpur to Terminal Bus Kuantan. According to Damaran Police Chief Superintendent Wong Kim Wai, both vehicles were traveling in the same direction when the crash occurred. The bus driver is believed to have failed to control the vehicle before crashing into the rear of the lorry. Both drivers were unharmed and all the passengers were transferred to another bus to continue their journey. The crash is being investigated under the Road Transport Act for careless and inconsiderate driving. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim has called for a re-evaluation of the foundations of Islamic finance, stressing that it should go beyond merely avoiding riba or interest-based practices. He said the system must also reflect the core values of sustainability, justice and humanity. Speaking at the launch of the iRise initiative, the Prime Minister described the shift in focus as an important step forward for Islamic banking.
Tetapi terlepas daripada kerangka maqasid syariah, matlamat syariah itu yang menyentuh soal kemampanan, keadilan, kemanusiaan, ini yang sekarang ni dibicarakan. Jadi saya anggap suatu kemajuan dan must express my profound appreciation to Prof. Razmyn and the team at INSEF for this initiative to set up iRise.
The Prime Minister said Malaysia must not be content with simply being a hub for halal certification. Instead, he urged the country to take bold steps towards leading the global halal economy, which is projected to be worth trillions of US dollars. Malaysia, he said, should also pursue strategic cross-border partnerships, including local involvement in halal-related projects in countries such as China, Vietnam, and Poland. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister said efforts to reform the country's governance system will take time and cannot change overnight, stressing that the reform agenda requires cooperation from all parties within the unity government.
Can you just undertake this massive reform in a year, or 2 years, or 3 years? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But what I know is there's no turning back. For those who are impatient who want fast growth, they're of course blinded to the facts and the reality.
Anwar also expressed appreciation for Pakatan Harapan's partners in government, particularly UMNO and Barisan Nasional. He described them as a key pillar of support which is fully committed to the reform agenda and the success of the unity government. In another development, Malaysia and Poland have reaffirmed their commitment to strengthen bilateral ties, particularly in defense, amid increasingly dynamic diplomatic relations that continue to open new areas of collaboration. Anwar said defense cooperation was among the key topics discussed during his meeting with Polish President Andrzej Duda. The Polish president is currently on a 3-day official visit to Malaysia, his first since assuming office in August 2015. He was earlier accorded an official welcome at the Perdana Putra complex in Putrajaya. The leaders held talks to discuss opportunities to deepen cooperation, particularly in trade, investment, and the defense industry. In a joint press conference, Anwar highlighted the need for both nations to leverage their respective strengths and expertise.
The potential for collaboration and growth is there, and I think we should showcase the capacity of both Malaysia and Poland to get to work together in these fields that we have discussed, including halal industry, with your strength in modern and food technology.
Malaysia had previously signed defense procurement agreements with Poland, including deals to acquire rocket launchers and tanks. These deals mark the beginning of deeper defense ties, paving the way for technology transfer, joint maintenance efforts, and military training between the two nations. In addition, Malaysia expressed its appreciation for Poland's consistent support on humanitarian issues, including its stance on the conflict in Gaza. Petronas has reaffirmed its commitment to safeguarding employee welfare amid a company-wide restructuring exercise that will cut about 10% of its workforce. The firm said impacted employees will receive a market-competitive separation package, one that exceeds the minimum statutory requirement. Beyond financial support, they will also receive emotional support services, career coaching and job searching assistance, financial planning guidance, as well as access to programs for medical assistance, upskilling and reskilling. In a statement, it said the packages are benefits are structured based on employees' year of service and may vary depending on employee category and eligibility. Petronas is also collaborating with the Social Security Organization, or SOCSO, through My Future Jobs to explore placement opportunities for eligible affected employees in other sectors. Meanwhile, for those exploring alternative career paths, the company's entrepreneurship program, run under the Petronas Innovation Garage, also offers a guided pathway into business ownership. Honda Malaysia has announced a recall involving more than 87,000 units of Honda vehicles to replace their fuel pumps. The company said the move is a precautionary measure, though there are no indices of crashes or injuries caused by these issues reported in Malaysia. In an official release, the company listed two different issues, with the first relating to the fuel pump impeller, which may swell after prolonged fuel immersion. This can result in the vehicle failing to start or stalling while driving. This issue affects more than 84,000 units of the Jazz, City, Civic Accord, BRV, HRV and CRV, and Odyssey of varying model years. Meanwhile, the second issue involves the high-pressure fuel pump, which may crack due to prolonged use and excessive stress, affecting 3,417 units of newer Honda models. All replacements will be carried out free of charge, with Honda Malaysia covering all associated costs. In other news, top U.S. and Chinese officials went back to the table in London on Tuesday, hoping to break a deadlock over export controls that reignited tensions between the world's biggest economies. Talks are centered on rare earths and semiconductors, two sectors hit hard by China's export bans and recent U.S. curbs. A White House advisor said Washington may ease some chip restrictions if Beijing speeds up rare earth deliveries. The discussions held at Lancaster House follow a 90-day tariff pause agreed last month in Geneva and ran nearly 7 hours on Monday. U.S. President Donald Trump struck an optimistic tone and said they were doing well with China, though investors remain cautious. Education Ministry assessing fire damage to SM Science Shah Alam. This and more from the local front after the break.
Kes bunuh melibatkan seorang warga negara emas perempuan di bangsal hadapan rumahnya.
Dia nampak neneknya adalah harimau.
Dia kejar harimau tu, dia menyembelih lah. Memang satu sembelihan yang sempurna.
Sekarang kan tengah musim hujan dan banjir. Jika anda tidak mampu menyelamatkan masa banjir, carilah bantuan daripada pihak yang pakar dalam kerja menyelamat. Jangan bahayakan diri anda. Fikir sebelum bertindak. Anda mampu menyelamatkan nyawa.
Welcome back. In Kuala Lumpur, the administrative block at the Sekolah Menengah Sains Alam Shah in Cheras was destroyed in a fire on Tuesday. In the 4:15 a.m. incident, the blaze engulfed the building, causing it to be completely gutted. Bandar Tun Razak Fire and Rescue Station Chief Muhammad Azizi Abdullah said a total of 44 firefighters from the Bandar Tun Razak, Jalan Hang Tuah, Cheras and Sentul fire stations were deployed to the scene after they were all alerted of the incident. Azizi said the blaze engulfed the third floor of the building, which housed the teacher's room, file room and laboratory. Firefighters were able to control the fire at 5:55 a.m. before fully extinguishing it at 6:18 a.m. No casualties were reported in the incident, and the cause of the fire is still under investigation. In the same development, the Education Ministry has begun assessing the damage caused by the fire. Its Minister Fadlina Sidek said the assessment was necessary to allow the ministry to channel the required assistance.
Saya sudah mengarahkan KSU untuk segera menilai, membuat asesmen kerosakan yang berlaku akibat kebakaran tersebut. Jadi kita akan segerakan maknanya bantuan dan juga memastikan sekolah ini dapat berjalan dengan baik dan kondusif untuk anak-anak kita belajar.
Fadlina said this to reporters at an event in University Science Malaysia in Nibong Tebal, Pulau Pinang on Tuesday. She said the ministry's top priority is the safeguard of the welfare of teachers and students by relocating them to a safe environment until conditions are conducive for teaching and learning. In Johor, an unemployed man who allegedly slit his wife's throat with a knife was charged with murder at the Tangkak Magistrates Court on Tuesday. The accused, 32-year-old Muhammad Khairul Azmi Ithin, nodded in understanding when the charge was read before Magistrate Lee Kim Keat. No plea was recorded as the case falls under the jurisdiction of the High Court. Muhammad Khairul is accused of murdering his wife, 34-year-old Icha Junis, at their home in Taman Cahaya in Serum between 3:30 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. on June 2nd. The charge was framed under the Penal Code, which provides for the death penalty upon conviction. Muhammad Khairul will also be referred to Hospital Permai in Johor Bahru for a psychiatric evaluation. The court denied bail and fixed July 8th for next case mention. Harimau Malaya thrashed Vietnam. The details when Nightline returns.
Menarik di MHI minggu ini, menyelami pengorbanan keluarga yang ditinggalkan.
Rina, awak kalau masak letak MSG dalam masakan?
Letak kenapa?
Kena tahu kesannya kepada kesihatan.
Beli barang online secara COD, barang dah sampai tapi tak nak bayar. Kenapa?
Mereka telah menerima hukuman, berilah peluang kedua kepada bekas banduan, mulakan hidup baru.
Berbaloi ke daftar kad keahlian untuk berbelanja? Kita kupas dalam Soal Wang.
Isnin hingga Jumaat jam 10 pagi ditonton.
Juga eksklusif di TV3.
Sebagai seorang bapa, kita kena menjaga ahli keluarga kerana itu merupakan amanah. Salah satunya adalah seorang bapa mesti menjaga akidah anak. Tetapi yang paling penting, kata para alim ulama, didikan itu mestilah berteraskan tauhid kepada Allah.
Buta huruf ini bukan hanya satu kekurangan tetapi juga satu bencana kejahilan. Kerana tanpa kenal huruf kita akan diperdaya dan diperkotak-katikkan.
Tanyalah Ustaz minggu ini. Isnin, tuntutan menjaga alam. Selasa, keperluan atau kemahuan. Rabu, Nabi Ismail figura anak soleh. Khamis, surah Al-Qasas ayat 14 hingga 19. Jumaat, pembebas Baitul Maqdis. Sabtu, nikmat Allah yang Maha Pengasih. Ahad, akhlak di hujung jari. Tanyalah Ustaz biar tahu, jangan keliru di TV3 dan TV9, stream juga dituntut.
Hai kawan-kawan, kawan-kawan pernah tak rasa tak selesa bila ada orang cuba sentuh badan kita? Kawan-kawan ingat tahu badan kita ni milik kita. Kalau ada orang sentuh tapi izin, korang cakap tidak. Lepas tu korang bagi tahu ibu bapa ataupun cikgu ataupun kakak dan abang, okey?
Betul tu. Ingat, tak ada orang yang boleh buat kita rasa takut dan tak selesa. Kita berhak rasa selamat dan dilindungi.
On to the foreign front. Property magnate Ong Beng Seng, who faces 2 charges in relation to former Singaporean Transport Minister's Iswaran's case, is set to plead guilty in court on July 3rd. The date was set after his pre-trial conference on Tuesday. Court records, however, did not specify whether Ong would plead guilty to one or both charges. The 79-year-old was previously scheduled to plead guilty on April 2nd, but the case was adjourned after his lawyers asked for more time to obtain his medical reports. Ong is facing charges of allegedly helping Iswaran receive an all-expenses-paid trip to Doha in December 2022 and for allegedly facilitating the obstruction of justice.
Excitement.
In other news, a gunman opened fire at a high school in southern Austria on Tuesday, killing at least 10 people before taking his own life. Police said the attack began during morning classes, with students and staff forced to barricade in classrooms as shots rang out. Among the victims are 5 students, 2 teachers, and a school administrator. Several others were injured, including one critically. The suspect shooter, a 21-year-old former student, was found dead at the scene from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Officials said he had a history of mental health issues and was previously flagged for threats against the school. An investigation is underway as authorities try to determine how the gunman obtained the weapon. Now, Israel says it has deported Swedish climate activist Greta Thunberg a day after intercepting the Gaza-bound aid boat Madeline in the Mediterranean. Thunberg left Tel Aviv for France on Tuesday morning after agreeing to deportation. However, 5 French activists refused and now face Israeli judicial proceedings. The intercepted yacht, organized by the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, was carrying baby formula, food and medicine to Gaza in protest of Israel's naval blockade. The activist group called the seizure a violation of international laws. Switching to sports now, the 2027 AFC Asian Cup qualifiers. Harimau Malaya have finally ended their 11-year winless streak against Vietnam, thanks to head coach Peter Klamovski's secret heritage weapon proving its worth, following a dominant 4-0 win over the Golden Star Warriors on Tuesday night. After a goalless first half at the Bukit Jalil National Stadium, Malaysia broke the deadlock when Joao Figueiredo's deflected shot looped into the net. Harimau Malaya maintained their momentum and doubled the lead in the 59th minute when Arif Aiman Muhammad Hanafi's cutback was calmly slotted home by another newly introduced heritage player, Rodrigo Holgado. The third goal came courtesy of Corbin Ong, who finished off another brilliant delivery from Arif Aiman. Dayang Pools then brought the house down, sealing the emphatic 4-0 win and setting the stadium into raptures. With the victory, Klamovski's men now sit atop the standings with 6 points, 3 ahead of second place Vietnam. Still on football, the 2025 ASEAN Under-19 Girls Championship. The national squad kicked off their campaign in dramatic fashion after thrashing Cambodia 4-0 in their Group B opener in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam on Monday. The Malayan Tigers took control early in the match, with Ku Nuwaira, Ku Madzir and Kase Carmila as Zahra each scoring a goal in the first half to give the national squad a 2-0 lead at halftime. In the second half, both Nuwaira and Carmila scored once more, securing a decisive 4-0 victory for Malaysia. The results put Malaysia second in Group B, just behind Thailand, who also secured 3 points, while Cambodia is in third place, ahead of Indonesia on goal difference. With momentum on their side, Cameron Ng's squad now turn their attention to a blockbuster Group B showdown against Thailand on Wednesday before wrapping up the group stage against Indonesia on Friday. Only the top 2 teams advanced to the semi-finals, with the ultimate prize being the ASEAN's Girls Championship trophy. And that concludes Nightline this time around. Before we leave, let's take a look as over 200 personnel from the Selangor Road and Transport Department gathered at the Selangor RTD headquarters to perform the Korban or slaughter of sacrificial animals in conjunction with the Adil Adha. The sacrificial meats were then distributed to underprivileged people in Wakaf Desa Fahmi in Klang and to all Selangor RTD personnel. Also present were RTD Director General Dato' ID Fadli Ramli, Selangor RTD Director Azwin Borhan and his Deputy Dato' Ahmad Kamarun Zaman Mehat. With that, I'm Nurin Razmyn. Thank you for watching and stay safe.